I'm a stop frame model animator. I work with puppets, and I'm lucky to work with some of the best puppets in the world. This is one of them. It's very much like slow motion acting, what I do. It didn't come easy, learning to be an animator. But I think the secrets of being a good animator is, the first thing is you have to have a very good puppet. You can't do any animation really without the basic good puppet. And then the second thing I feel you need to do is to be able to control the puppet as you want it. You know, you have to give it weight, and you have to get the sense of the gravity, and you have to get the sense of the limbs moving as you want them to do it. And then the third thing to be a good animator, I think, is you need it to say something. You know, it's no good just moving an arm if it doesn't say anything. You know, there has to be a reason for it to do it, for it to express character. And so every animator is an actor, and you have to get inside the head of this puppet and think, how will it walk? These particular puppets, we were treating them like malevolent little children. And we gave them a bit of bird-like movement as well. We studied birds, and they had quick movements, and their eyes were darting around like birds. We also used Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, the film of Sunset Boulevard, as reference. She's this manic, rather theatrical actress, and she had big gestures, and there was a nice element of danger in the moves she does, and we tried to get the element of danger in these puppets. But some of the other puppets I've worked with, some have been more complicated than this, some have been simpler than this. But as soon as I get a puppet, I like to spend some time feeling it and feeling the way it'll move. I work with very detailed puppets, very sophisticated puppets. But my particular interest is not in facial expression so much. When you work with plasticine, I think plasticine is very good for exaggerating facial features. You can have big mouth and eyes, and the characters can stretch and squash. I'm more interested in the body language of the whole character. I like to see the full figure the whole time. And I suppose I come at animation almost like a dancer. I approach how the whole body would move, and I use mime a lot, and I love acting with my hands. I have to have some very limited facial expressions the whole time. The eyes are the essential part of any puppet. If you don't have any eyes moving, that character is absolutely dead. And even in this Shakespeare puppet, I wanted the whole story to be told using his body, using his legs, the way he held himself, using his arms. But we just had some moving eyes, and he's alive, he's lovely. And the way I sort of performed him, I gave him this sort of haughty look at the camera every so often. And it's the eyes give a soul, basically, to the character. What was interesting about the Japanese character in this film's screenplay, that they did have masks, but I told most of the film using British Sign Language for the deaf, and I told the film through his hands. I'm very interested in different ways of telling a story and different ways to use a puppet to tell a story. Most of my films don't have very elaborate sets.
Love met love, delicious and dangerous. For Takako is soon to marry, samurai warrior, rich with plunder. Ashiro has an iron heart.
Speciality of the company Mackinnon Saunders is to design and build puppet characters for stop frame animation. This is one sort of typical example of one of the puppets that we've made this was for the film Mars Attacks. All the characters start off life as simple children's plasticine, which is a modelling clay, and some animators actually model and animate the modelling clay. We sort of take it several stages further, and we produce from the clay a mould and then a cast. And this character here has been cast out of silicone rubber, and inside the actual silicone skin there's an armature which holds the position for the character. And take his helmet off, and we have an animatable face as well. The idea for the characters was they were based on some playing cards from the late 60s, and we had to sort of come up with a design which I know would work for this particular character, was going to be involved within a live action film. So we were very careful about the detailing of the character and the scale to the teeth and the eyes. So all of the eyes have tiny little veins painted into them to give them some reality. And the animator would have to manipulate the head of the character and then replace the dome for each frame of film. One of the other problems that the animators find is that after a while the character gets very dirty and has to be cleaned up. So we have a maintenance team who sort of go around, sort of a bit like a makeup artist, who go in and very carefully sort of touch in any cracks that appear and keep the character hopefully looking beautiful. Like the animation itself, the time taken to actually make a puppet is a very sort of painstaking process, and the puppet makers have to be very patient with the craft of building these models. A sculptor originally would have fashioned all of the detail of the brain and the form in plasticine, and then a mold maker would very carefully sort of create a two-piece resin mold of the model. It uses a lot of different skills. Some of them are very similar to jewellery trade. Inside all of the arms of these characters, some very tiny little joints. So they're all silver soldered. The puppets are painted with a flexible latex paint, which is designed to go onto balloons, and it's got a very stretchy surface to it, and that's useful sort of as the animator is manipulating the puppet, that it doesn't flex or crack. It doesn't crack off the surface of the foam latex. Very often an animation director will come to us and ask us to design and build the model animation puppet for them, and we have to work within the style that the director requires. This particular model was used for the film Mars Attacks, although actually the film wasn't eventually done with the stop frame animation. We created the characters initially as these latex and silicone models. The animators very often find the characters too heavy to stand up on the set, so they have to be able to lean and hold an extreme pose. Very often we'll use magnets underneath the feet of the character, underneath the set, and the foot of the puppet is made of steel. That clamps the foot down to the set top.